y'all. Happy Taboo Tuesday. You are tuned into the Daily Smoke, and this is the People's Podcast. First and foremost, let's shout out to all these sponsors. First up is 832, Bangin' 832 Radio. Please visit www.bangin832.com. You can catch past shows on Sundays at 7 p.m. of the Daily Smoke. To me, it's Touch of Care, massage therapy. To get with life, get a massage. If you know, like I know, you need them hands.
Touch my body.
We miss you, Ron. South Park Coalition 35th Anniversary Concert, September 10th, 2022, from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. You can still get pre-sale tickets for $25 or VIP for $50. If you wait to the door, you might get in for $30. General admission. It's going to be at the Scout Bar, 18307 Edgar Bay Boulevard. The original Buy Black Market, first and third Saturdays from 12 to 6. It is Black Business Awareness Month, y'all. So if you have your own business or you support us, make sure you check out the Shrine of Black Madonna. They have and always will be supportive of the community and helping people leverage their skills and resources.
Matter of fact, past Saturday, today, we've been.
Yes, today. But we living in the future, y'all, because we are pre-recording this show.
You know?
So while you tune in at 7 o'clock, we've already been prepared for you. And it's going to be a really fantastic show. I'm super, super excited to welcome to Taboo Tuesdays, Mr. Michael Horne. How you doing?
I'm good.
You enjoying this rainy Saturday?
This gets me out the kitchen. So whatever gets me out the kitchen from in front of my oven, I'm good.
Okay. You know, Taboo Tuesdays has been a very fluid experience.
Okay.
Now the guys at the Wolf Stand, they're real big on organization, knowing the topic, knowing the thing, so they can like make it a pretty display. I don't be knowing. All I know is there are conversations that are not being had in public or at home because of ignorance or exposure or lack thereof, right? But in the forefront of our contact today, you shared a few things that to me are foreign, and I feel like they add value to the well-being and the betterment of tomorrow's. So first and foremost, thank you. This is the CEO and the hands of the man that put together some really good desserts. He's got this secret ingredient he puts in them. I believe it starts with an L and ends with an E. But what made you want to come here today? Like, what did I say for the invitation that you were like, okay, I can do this?
Well, the invitation alone, just for y'all having your own podcast, I try my best to always support people, especially if they support me. So that was one. But watching that first interview that y'all did, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm like, I wouldn't mind being on this show.
Man, I'm telling you.
So that first interview, honestly, watching that when you were actually brought on to the show.
My inaugural interview with Ron,
So that one there is what, well, I was like, okay, I would love to sit down with them.
Okay.
That's why I'm like, yeah, I need both.
I know you do. You do. So I'm telling you, like the experience of getting to know the Wolf's Den and the crew of the People's Podcast, becoming a member of the podcast, like it's been a beautiful journey because it's nice to see unforeseen things come to fruition, right?
To unfold the growth.
Yeah, of course. Now, of course, when I think of taboo topics, I think about sex, politics, and religion. Do any of the topics come to mind when taboo comes up?
I mean, hell, honestly, everything today in this soft society now is taboo. So, you know, music on all topics, you know what I mean? Music, even certain censorship. So, actually, everything pretty much falls in line with it.
Yeah.
So,
I like how you said it's soft.
Yeah, because
everything offends everybody.
So I say that because if you look back to, we'll even take comedy now, right? If you look back at Richard Pryor, look back at Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, D.L. Hughley in the early 90s, where you had what was that, Def Jam comedy, and they talking about everybody. Hell, D.L. Hughley came up, he talked about everybody in the audience. Nobody, you have to be bold to sit in his front row, right?
Yeah. Half the time people, so he was like,
right,
he's looking for
right. So, you know, it's a lot of things said then that if done today, Like, oh my God, how dare you say that?
Right.
How dare you talk about this man's wife in front of, or, you know, anything. So today's society, to me, is just so soft. We've got to walk
Yeah,
on
tiptoes.
eggshells. You know, like I'm not for it. You know, so
It goes both ways. It goes many ways. I would say that today's society is soft in the sense of talking about people in front of people out
Yeah.
loud, as opposed to, you know, we're going to talk about you when you turn around.
Right.
You know damn well you're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
come up in here with that skirt on with those shoes and your toes hanging on the edge of your sandals. Like,
Exactly.
we're going to talk about you. At the same time, some people run from the conversation.
yeah,
You know, so while we have freedom of speech, while we have the time to speak, I feel like it's imperative to humanize the experience, right? Like, you a businessman,
definitely.
but why should I support your business? Because I respect you. So what you said off camera was important to me because you're a family man.
Right.
You're at home with your wife and your 3 kids.
Yep.
And that almost, I feel, is the least talked about because of the protection, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like, you don't always show your hand because some people ain't right. And some people gonna go and try to get you where it hurt, right?
Of course.
But when you have, for me, faith, trust, security,
Right.
whatever it is that keeps you going, right? When you have that, you don't welcome negativity. You don't welcome hardship or adversity. You don't welcome a reason not to get over the obstacles that you might face, right? But I think what's really important is even the openness. Like, how open are you to topics that you don't know the subject matter or the source of the derivative? Like,
Well, with me, I'm always willing to learn.
okay,
So I stand on a man that knows everything,
Knows
knows
nothing.
nothing. Because nobody knows everything. There's always something new to learn.
yeah,
And the business that I'm in, baking, it's always something new.
of course.
Like half of the cakes that I've done, I'm not gonna say half, but I'll probably say a quarter of the cakes that I end up making and having on my menu is because somebody else saw it or that's a cake that they like. And I didn't even know about the cake. May have heard about it but never tasted it until I made it, until somebody brought it to me.
Okay,
So I'm always willing to learn.
learn and grow.
There's nothing that I know already. And
Right.
even if I know it, I'm sure there's, like I say, it's 1,000,001 ways to skin a cat.
Of course.
So I'm always willing to learn.
Okay.
Should tell them to tune in tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we'll get there later. We still here though. So, as a father, raising Black grown-ups to be, I'm assuming, right? So let me say, recently, I had a conversation with a Black father, and I was just like, damn, you're invisible cake though, because not only have you brought life to us, but it's your responsibility to protect it, preserve it, nurture it, present it opportunities, you know, with patience. And you're doing that. And even though they might not know what you do as a daddy, like, thank you for what you do as a father, to give patience to your son.
Yeah.
And to be nurturing to your daughter, so they both know what to expect
Of course.
and what to receive.
And today you have to. I can't necessarily touch on the boys that grow up in a household without mothers. I mean, without fathers. 'Cause I didn't grow up in a household like that. So, I mean, I've seen some, but I can't really say how they turned out. I
Yeah.
can only describe my life. So I know what I wanted for my family, right? So now that my son graduated, he's grown, I'm like, and I was telling him at, you know, his whole senior year, life after high school comes
They're
fast.
different.
Like, it's, you know, life comes at you fast. So don't think you have all the time in the world.
Right.
Right? And that's the thing, as kids, they think, well, all right, after high school, I still have time to figure. I mean, you have time to figure it out. But
Consider the routes, right? Like, some people go straight from pre-K to grad school to work,
right,
right? And they don't retire until they're done working
Right.
for someone else. For individuals who took the route of entrepreneurship, who literally can take the items in the store that are not taxable and make an impressive profit.
Mm-hmm.
Those individuals don't lack vision, right?
Right.
Now, of course, it is possible that an egg will be an egg and never be cracked open, never even meet the batter,
Right.
never even meet the beater, never even meet the opposition or the oil to separate and then come together.
Right.
But then you got some eggs that like were not unpurposed. The vision for you and how you see things. Do you feel that there's room for opposition, or are you so focused this is the way, and whether you come now or later we still gonna go in this way? Like, how is your vision being carried out from the kitchen to the parenthood?
I'll more so go from the parenthood to the kitchen.
Okay.
Because that's what started first before. I mean, my love for cheesecake has always been there, but I had my kids before that. But from parenthood, I tried to, raise my kids in a life. You don't have to do what I do, but you're still going to be knowledgeable.
Oh, yes.
Not just what I do, but how I do certain things. So initially, before cakes, I was making cheesecake just for me. But I was wanting to go to school, wanting to be a pharmacist.
Okay.
So went back to school. So I'm working 2 jobs, got night school, also have cakes, and still trying to be a
dad and a husband.
Show up for sports, and
Yeah.
my daughter had cheerleading and stuff at the time, or volleyball. So trying to do all that. But I tell them, I'm like, in the period when I was going to school, when I was focused, before cakes got so big, I had to stop going to school, and then it started to grow more. I had to stop working. But at the point in time where I had to kind of look back, my older two, who, like I said, my son graduated already, my daughter graduates this year. But, I told him, like, I wanted y'all to see the struggle and see the growth, because you have to do what you got to do to, in order, whatever dream you have, if that's your dream, if that's your passion, you got to put grind to it. You got to grind.
Work.
So
work is dead.
So
right?
me working 2 jobs for the household, me going to night school to further not just my career, but to further my passion of what I wanted to do is the reason why I was doing those things. Like I tell my son now, who has a passion for music, he's trying to figure out these things. I'm like, okay, if you have a passion, you can do that. But if you're trying to just solely just do music without working, like, what's going to fund this? Because you have nothing to fund this, right? So you got to fund your dream. So before you get to do the stuff that you want to do, sometimes you have to do stuff that you have to do in order to get to that. And I had a live one the other day. I was telling somebody as well, she was baking and she was like, I'm thinking about leaving my job. I'm like, that is fine. You can do that. But you have to make sure that what you have for your dream is going to suffice your life. Because if you leave that job and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this, and you don't have the clientele, you don't have the funds coming in for it no more, you're going to end up going back.
Right.
And, sometimes in a sense, that's a good thing, just learning those lessons. But if you don't have to learn that lesson,
man, you better hear that message. Mike, so I feel like, first of all, is it Michael, or am I okay to call you Mike?
Mike is fine.
I got real comfortable. Real
It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
So, Mike, I feel like that says a lot, because while you're talking about, if you're gonna take that leap,
right,
calculate it.
it's got to be calculated.
Because y'all, I mean, I'm all for running your own business, and because your name is on this T-shirt, it's worth 4 times what you paid to buy it initially. I get it. You're valuing your brand. If you can't afford your brand,
That part.
we have a problem. Some people will literally go to a website to buy wholesale, merchandise, and then literally stamp their name on it, and now it's worth 4 to 10 times what they paid. Great concept. Not so big on execution if you can't afford it.
Right.
A lot of times people look at, how does the CEO manufacture, their products, as opposed to how they manage their time. If you're spending 12 hours of your waking day working, but your husband and you're a father, where's the time for you? And I think that that's part of the calculation, right? Like some people don't consider self-care to be an actual attribute to your success. Do you take care of yourself?
It is, and I do. I just a lot of times, honestly, my wife probably had to pull me away, like, "Hey, you need to sit down."
Yeah.
Or if I don't do it, God will.
Hello, somebody.
So
Sit your ass down real fast for a little break.
I say that because this year has been busy.
Okay.
You know, and for the summertime, every year, you know, we usually we'll take the summer. My kids will go to Maryland, and my wife is from DC.
Okay.
So, you know, we'll go out there. You know what I'm saying? I'll at least go out there once a year, right? It's usually during the summertime. This year, it's been busy. I've been busy. Money's been a little tight. So I'm like, and her birthday, we used to go around her birthday or before, like somewhere around in June or a little bit after. But for the most part, we're there. So this year, I was like, probably wait for, you know, the summer. I had several events coming up. So we was like, okay, that's fine. We'll wait for, you know, for the holidays to go. Unfortunately, her aunt, she used to stay with us. She ended up passing away.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up going. We went to the funeral. It was good to go to see family. But then we got back. Well, I came back first. So we got back. And then that week of me coming back, I ended up with COVID. So I had, like, when I got back, I had an event that I did that Sunday. And then after that, I'm like, I just became tired. And I'm like, what is going on? Took a COVID test. It's positive. When I tell you that I had so much stuff, different things lined up, and that I didn't give myself time to rest, or the time that I would usually give myself that summertime, that at least that week or so, I was like, all right, this time you're usually gone, you're not, so I'm gonna have you sit down.
Yeah.
So COVID is no joke.
No, it's not.
Whether you got your boosters or not, it's no joke.
Yeah.
It's no joke. But I could say in that time, it gave, outside of my body time to recoup, it gave my mind time to reprogram, restart, refresh. So I tried to do that on my own. But again, sometimes, you know, God's
His time is a little different sometimes,
indeed.
man.
He's like, sometimes he'll make you sit down.
Of course.
You know?
I feel like, so I remember when I first met you, I was just like, man, your name's so strong though. Like, I mean, you hear trumpets. Just, my name is Michael Horne. Yes, sir, it is. I hear you. I have artists that I man, your name is strong. And the artists with your name have a very powerful faith and execution, and also great business minds. So even if by blood directly you're not related, there's so much connectivity in that name, right? Horne. And even as you said, you know, sometimes he'll sit you down. But you just blew my mind when you said sometimes money is tight, because y'all, I think that is actually a taboo topic that I didn't even consider. Hadn't even crossed my mind. But as entrepreneurs experience hardship, experience pandemic, experience dry patches, there are algorithms of how to maintain the wellness. You know, when you write your vision, you make it plain, your view don't distract you. Okay? When you can say, these are my calculations, I need this much money to sustain my household, including my self-care, for this quarter.
Right.
I don't care what the view look like. I'm going to make sure these needs are being met. But sometimes the calculation is off because it doesn't include self-care.
Right.
Your self-care is as important as that light bill.
Definitely.
Because it's your life. You know, for me, right, like I feel like there are certain attributes to self-care that cannot be gone without. I need my nails done. I broke my nail today, y'all. Like, no offense. Broke my nail today, so I'm going to go see Henry as soon as I get done recording. So by the time y'all see this today on Tuesday, I'll have different nails. However, nails, skin, hair, touch my body, Tamia Anderson, like just certain things that you need. Because I feel we have been taught to take it for so long, we don't even realize the bags ain't supposed to be on our shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
You feel me? Like, hold on. And so even with the utterance of when money gets tight, money ain't tight. The budget is confined,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because you already have the resources. And even when you pay off the investments, when they are now assets and no longer liabilities, right? That's still an expense,
Oh, yeah.
right? We move and shake all the time. We make things
Okay.
happen. But I was saying earlier, critical thought is not taught. And so that taboo topic really is, man, can you explain to me as an entrepreneur raising 3 kids with a wife who I'm pretty sure likes to be seen as the wife of a king who is completely manifesting his dreams? Like, what does money tight look like in your household, and how do you feel about it internally?
All right, so I'm going to go from man to husband to father.
Okay.
So as man, when I'm like, all right, it's a slow month, because being an entrepreneur is like the stock market. You have days you up, you have days you down. You know what I mean? Like this week may not be like next week. Like I may have my projections and of what I want to make for the month,
Yeah.
what I want for the quarter, but nothing is guaranteed, right? You may come today and be like, all right, I need those 3 cakes next week, and we're gonna do this, every other week. And then for whatever reason, like, you know what, that was a little bit too much. Let's go back and scale it down to 1. So now those projections have changed, and that altered also my ending projection because I projected that to happen.
Yeah.
So as a man, I always try to readjust and refocus on how I can get to those projections. I try to have at least a 3-part plan to like, okay, this isn't working. Let me see what else I can do so I can get this back up to where I need to be. Right? So that as a man, as a husband, I try to take as much off of my wife's plate as possible. That's just me.
Yeah.
She'll tell you all the time. I'll be like, that's my job. So I'm like, I don't need, if I can take care of something and you not have to worry about it, then
You're
I'm fine with
accomplishing that, yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So that's my job as a husband, to make sure that I can try to make her situation easy. The less you have to worry about, I'm good. I don't want you to, and because for the most part, it's cash transactions, or sell, cash app. But whenever I get cash transactions, like here you go. I don't want any words. I don't want you to, well, the lights are off. Did we pay the bill? No, the bill's paid. That's done.
Yeah.
So the power's off. It's a problem with the whole block.
Yeah, not this house.
It ain't the house.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's me as a husband, as a father. I try to make sure my kids have what they need. And I tell them all the time, I'll take care of your needs. Like, y'all are older. Now, my youngest is 11, so I still have to take care of her wants, but her wants still come at a cost.
Of course.
For my older two, I'm like, I'll take care of your needs. Y'all are working. It's your last year of high school. You are out of high school. You take care of your wants. If I chip in,
that's
because I want to.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? But like with that, my son now is always busy. So we used to go get haircuts together, but now he's like, I don't want to wake up on your time. I'll go when I want to. All right, that's fine. So you taking care of your own haircuts. So you got it. For my daughters, my middle and my youngest, initially it was just my middle. Me and her would go get pedicures. So now I'm like,
hey, baby girl. Yeah.
Now she's 11. I'm like, you know what? Let's go get your nails and stuff done. So that, and as I thought about it, when she said self-care, I'm like, that is something when you're talking about your nails.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's my relaxation moment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when things get tight, so like for this month, we're in August. We haven't went this month or last month.
Okay.
Right? Because our flight to DC on
for the
whim,
service, yeah.
Yeah.
That threw off some projection.
Flights. Everything right now is up.
Yeah.
Like you can't go nowhere for $99. The $89 trip.
I know.
Yeah, everything is a wrap.
Yeah.
So to leave the week of, that was a grip. So still, I'm good, but still bouncing back from that. So I'm like, we're gonna hold off on the pedicures just for right now. Just give me a month, we'll get right back to it. But I try to make sure that they understand certain things as well. because, and as I tell them, I'm like, you can always be up, and just because you're up don't mean you won't be down.
Exactly.
And just because you're down don't mean you'll never be back up.
Exactly.
Like, it's just, peaks and valleys.
Of course.
It's how you handle the peaks and valleys.
Exactly.
So that's always a term of mine.
Being a man of faith, how does that contribute to your being a man, being a husband, and being a father?
It's like steady ground. It keeps you grounded, because without faith and belief, I think I'm a Pisces as well, so I'm a dreamer.
Hey, March 3rd. What's your birthday?
Oh, you did. Mine's the 20th, so I'm the last day.
Come on now.
So,
Got a daughter to 16.
oh, she good people. She
Bitch,
good people.
bitch.
But we're dreamers.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we're in space, we're in our own thoughts, but the faith to me keeps me grounded.
Yes, the knowing.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, which is why I write stuff down, because I'm like, okay, this is what I got planned for this week. Now I know what I need to do. All right, this is just this week. Let me make extra on top of that, because I don't know what else may be coming in. So the faith kind of keeps me level, keeps that dreaming down.
Okay. So I would not be my authentic self if I did not do the taboo thing that some people are afraid of. Watch them. And I only say that because you will literally speak what you see.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Because we see what we say.
Definitely.
All the
And
time.
I said, say what you mean, mean what you say.
And I'm telling you, because a lot of times people with loose faith thinks faith shakes.
Oh, yeah. No,
Faith don't shake, baby. That is the solid oak. Ain't moving. Ain't no
that's the
storm.
fear.
Man, let me tell you.
the fear and the lack of understanding.
Yeah.
Ignorance, yes, but some of it isn't necessarily just ignorance.
Okay.
Now, to me, the ignorance is when you know.
Now, that's
and
just stupid.
That's true.
Ignorance is they're not taught, right? They don't know yet.
Well, true. That's
But the ones who deny the lesson,
right.
they some fools.
Definitely. But faith is, a lot of it is when your faith is shaky or you don't feel like the solid ground. That's a lot of that stems from fear.
Right.
So and a lot of people try to push their fears on you because in their mind they're like,
that's what
I can't see how that's possible.
Right.
That's not possible. You can't do that.
You know what's crazy though? I feel like some people who follow different paths and regimens get triggered by the terms Christians use or those of spiritual walks utilize and think, oh, it's not applicable to them. An atheist, right? Mm-hmm. An atheist is a person who appreciates art. An atheist is a person who denies the creator.
Right.
But there is no way to deny that when they say bless you when you sneeze, like we still utilize the same tools. If we were all in the kitchen, they would have faith that their tools and resources will still gonna make that cake bake. Right? People have to understand like the ideologies and the things that have been taught, read, and written. Like it's not always for you to stay focused, but more so to you to realize like there's so many ways to go through life. But I do believe. And so because I do, like I understand the process of accepting what can be changed. Right. But it almost for me feels like a very powerful position. Like triple threat. Right? Like when we on the court and we in that stance, it's like, okay, I don't care which way I go from here. I'm gonna go. Right. Right? That's the knowing. But when you put yourself in a position where you're on the defense and you're not considering all the ways I can go from here, you're not prepared to adapt or adjust. You feel me? But regardless of the disappointment that can come because the walk is not the way we foresaw, does not mean the outcome is not what we believe. Definitely. Right? And so for individuals that don't even understand the makeup of what they're doing, it's almost impossible to trust them. You being a businessman who is giving our palates a party, right? I mean, like, I think it's important to know. And for y'all who don't understand, like, tune in tomorrow at 7 o'clock because you're going to see him unfold in front of Los and hopefully Jam and Ron. But you'll see him unfold as he exposes you to what he creates and what he works with to make sure you're effective. But for me, the most taboo of all is the transparency of people. We don't talk about the fact that, man, the $1 million CEO sitting to my left has at some point in life not seen the outcome. And that's a dark space to be in. That's a not even fearful, but frightening, right? This cape that you have on being a husband, where your wife is probably aware of her strength and capability to do it by herself, but she wants to go through life with you. How beautiful is that? Like, you wake up every day to a woman who said yes. You're worth saying yes to, right? Like, when you humanize the experience, you understand, like, you're going to watch your mouth. You're not going to speak nothing but the projection of what you want to be effective, because you know the proof of your produce.
Yep.
How your children embrace life, how they go to sleep without fear of the door being broken into, of the windows being busted, like the things that you have done to substantiate the security of the platform you stand on.
That's my job.
That's your job. And sometimes people are not applying for those positions, but they find them in them.
Right.
Right? Some of us are here because my mama's got pregnant, but not always because they had intentions to procreate.
Right.
Right? It's a beautiful thing.
Definitely. And even touching on, a lot of people, I mean, like, I didn't plan on being a father, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I take that responsibility. I take that responsibility on, and I try my best to be the best I can be for them.
Yeah.
Right. And as a husband, now as a man, father, husband, as people, and we all have shortcomings. Nobody's perfect, right? So we all have moments like, all right, I could have did this better. I should have said this, or I should have done that. So we all have moments. But life will teach you those moments as well at times. But you had initially said, as a CEO, a lot of
$1 million CEO.
they didn't see the outcome.
Yes.
So again, a lot of those things are frightening, right? And even at times, where I'm at now compared to when I sold my first cheesecake 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I didn't see myself here, right? And now looking back at that and looking at myself now I'm trying to put things in order to say, 5 years from now, I'll look back at this moment and be like, I didn't, what I'm saying? I expected me to be here, or I didn't expect myself to be here this quick.
Yes.
Or whatever the time frame is.
So like you told your son, life after high school
Comes fast.
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 Like even surrounding yourself with people who actually see the value, right? Like, I know my hands have touched millions of dollars.
Oh, definitely.
But I'm also aware that I know billion-dollar resources.
Yeah.
Because it is the most powerful place to be when you're in a room with people who know they can.
Oh.
Right? Who wants to talk to a fool who don't know what they're doing, and if this is gonna work, I'm just gonna see how it goes? No, honey, it don't work like that.
One of my favorites, I ain't gonna say my favorite thing, what I hear, but it's true. If you are the smartest person in the room,
There's a problem.
there's a problem, and you need to leave the room.
Yeah.
You're in the wrong room.
Hello?
Because if you stay in that room, it's mainly about ego.
Yeah.
So
Now we gotta big fish it out.
Yeah.
Put me in the ocean.
I like to learn.
Yeah.
So I like to, if somebody has, I got a couple of go-to people that are chefs that, hey, if I have any questions, I can definitely reach out to them. But I definitely don't want to be the smartest in the room.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's so beautiful when the pupil becomes the teacher. What are you learning from your children as a man, as a father?
Learning from my kids.
Yeah.
So I would say vulnerability.
Good job, kids.
So, and it came at a cost of daughters. So my daughters opened up my vulnerable side, right? So my son, I love him to death. There's no changing. All three of my kids are different. They're completely different. But my son, I love him to death. He's always wanted to be alone. Hey, you want to do? No, I'm good. Just to watch a movie with us, I'm fine. But my girls are like daddy girls, so they always
on your hip
all the time.
Yeah.
So I learned the vulnerability through them. And they mess with me all the time because Home, the movie Home with Rihanna.
I haven't seen it.
It's a good movie.
Okay.
But they mess with me all the time. My
Did you
other
cry?
daughter. I shed a tear and they will never let that down.
But that's a good thing.
It
Y'all need to normalize. I'm serious. I call it emotional constipation. It is a good thing.
Or daughters.
Right.
Tear up.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
it's a good thing.
they mess with me all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we can't watch this because, somebody's going to be in their emotions. So, but, kids do that to you. So I'll see my son in certain situations or in certain things. And I'm like, damn, I can't believe I raised him like he is,
His own.
he's his own self-sufficient. He's just so. Everybody be like, oh my God, your son is so polite. He helps out. He does this. He does that. And of course, when you have your kids, they're in your house. You're proud of them, but at home you're like, okay, hey, don't do this, do that, do that. You know what I mean? My parents always had to stay on me, but whenever somebody else came back to the house to say whatever I was doing, it was never, oh, you need to get a handle your kids, your son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm thankful that my kids, all three of them, can go out into the world and be
Do well.
beacons of light
Yes.
to everybody. Because my son, like last night, he actually went out with his friends. He has one friend who was like, hey, she said her Uber driver was being weird. I didn't want her
I've
to.
been recording my rides. They're very creepy.
Yeah.
Like, pause. Uber. First of all, I was told yesterday that Uber does not allow the driver to use any other GPS and had me going in circles and said that if he went the way I wanted him to go, it would lock him from doing it because it happened previously and he was locked out of driving for 3 weeks and that's his source of income. Like, y'all are tripping.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Very much so. So, she was having
A bad experience. Yeah.
So she was like, hey, can you take me home? So I called him like, hey, just seeing where you at. It's right now it's 12. Like, yeah, I have a friend. She's having a bad ride right now. I'm gonna take her home. Okay, cool. So I called her, I'm like, all right, it's now 1. Hey, where you at?
Say Beaumont?
Well, initially he was at Funplex, but I didn't know the girl stayed at TSU. But she's, on campus. So it was like I had to drop her off at TSU. Like, how'd you go? He was like, look, he was like, you would have did the same. I'm like, I would have. I'm just calling to see where you are. Just
the
make
only
it, make it
difference,
home safe.
Mr. Horne, would have been, hey, Dad, this is going on and this is my plan, as opposed to reacting and explaining what wasn't communicated. So that'd be the lesson for you, kid.
Yeah. I probably would have did the same thing in his
Yeah,
shoes, honestly.
just react.
Just as a
Just
kid.
react and move, yeah.
You don't
think.
You know what
somebody
I mean?
waiting on me.
Right. So I'm like, all right, I'm just checking on you. Just get here.
Yeah.
And I try to be like, and I learned this through DLU.
Okay.
Right? He was talking. I don't know if he was on a podcast show or if he was on the show, but he was like, all his kids live with him, right? Mm-hmm. He was like, I stay up until my kids are home. It's like I can't really fully be asleep until I know they walk through the door. Yeah. And that's how I am.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like that's how I am.
Late as hell.
Yeah.
Door open and closed.
Yeah.
I knew she didn't go to sleep till I.
Yeah. So even if I'm asleep, I'm not in a heavy sleep because
you waiting.
I'm waiting for you to walk through the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm waiting to hear the dog bark because I know
you outside.
Yeah. So that's my thing. Hell, even my wife, she goes out. I try to be cognizant of when y'all coming home. Like, okay,
what's up?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Daddy always look at that clock like he does in the kitchen with the timer. Like it's time to do something. I think that's really powerful because even with the concept of focusing on the vision, right? You have individuals who are so caught up working for corporations, being valued at a base of 0 to 3% on an annual basis of their work ethic being conducive to their value at that company, they don't even see an opportunity to create a life for themselves outside of that space, to experience the fluctuation of the flow, or to be at home when their kids get home. You know what I mean? Like, it's different. I know you said that, COVID ain't no joke, but it would have been real different if your job told you how much time you were allotted to remember that you were alive.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, we've been dying since birth, y'all. Like, newsflash, you're dying.
Yeah.
You're going to die. Okay? I'm not cynical. It's the truth.
Yeah.
You should live. Something that gives you joy, that gives you peace, that gives you excitement, that puts troubles at ease. You should embrace that. And it's not always going to be inebriation, intoxication, or ignorance. Most times it's experience, exposure, and education. I don't think I learned the most at school. I'm pretty certain it's been more in conversations with humans, being humans.
And even more as today, they learn
Yeah.
less. Because I tell my kids all the time, like, y'all don't learn anything, you're going to at least know what a Mason-Dixon line is. You're going to know the Jim Crow laws, like, because this stuff is still going on today. Now, mind you, the Mason-Dixon line, you can still travel as you want, but when you cross the Mason-Dixon line, you still know that some of those issues still go on today.
Yeah.
I feel like Maryland is actually technically in the South.
Yeah.
Maryland is the South. You went from the Maryland line, that's where the Mason-Dixon line started. So Maryland, Virginia, even though it's considered East Coast, that is still South.
And they accept you in kind to a degree.
Yeah.
As long as you don't mess with their people.
But it's Maryland, that area in some parts of North Carolina and South Carolina. It's not as bad as, of course, the deeper states.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the deeper, the more rooted, and because again, slavery didn't end for us.
When it ended for them.
Right. So, I try to make sure, like I said, I teach my kids that we would, what was the name of that movie? I had my kids watch The Hate You Give, because it still was Thug, but The Hate You Give, and my kids watched it. And then we also watched What Happened to the Kids in New York. But it's tough to watch those.
Yeah, it is.
But
it is. It's necessary.
It's very necessary because again, like when you have kids, they're with you. You are the protector, but they have to go out into the world. They can't stay with you.
Okay, so even with that, like, I understand. I can see a few sides. I can see the side that says, let's take these parts of history out so we don't plant the seeds of doubt in people. I can see that. But it is so imperative that we know the stories because of what they did. It's one thing for a person who is not of a Black experience to watch what happened to people who had the experience, and they can weep, they can be, sad, they can identify their lineage and their responsibility. They can even be angry and want to denounce their own likeness in those images. It's a complete other trauma when you have that experience and you're being fed, this is what happens to you when you say something. This is what happens to you when you speak out, so much so that people don't say shit.
Right.
It should not be a class. Like, man, I'm from Alabama. We had Black history class. Like, every day we were taught about our history, about our present, like our presence, our gifts. Where I got to Texas, it was Black history in the sense of Black literature. And maybe we'd read a poem for Gwendolyn Brooks. Maybe we heard about James Baldwin. Right. Maybe it was, let's be all inclusive. We'll get a gay Black person and say that they were mattering. Like, no, there's so much more culture and history that is being completely edited, erased, amended from our own. But while we have freedom of speech, I'm so grateful for the People podcast. I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want to because I can, because I will. But at the same time, I want to reel them in on the reality of good people doing good things with good ingredients that are good for you, right? And that's what we're doing here. This is the complete essence of it. I'm looking forward to tuning in tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing the guys enjoy the freedom of enjoying your cheesecake because Sweet Tooth Like, for real. One of my first sponsors was Sweet Tooth Media. So when I saw your business card, I was just like, oh no, this is a good thing. And it is. Y'all been tuned into Taboo Tuesdays. This is the People's Podcast. We've had Michael Horne of Sweet Tooth Cheesecakes with us. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 7 o'clock and get an exposure of somebody who not only puts effort in what he does as a man, as a husband, as a father, but as a chef.
I appreciate that.